Welcome everybody to Monza. Race 2 of the DTM season is shortly to get underway here in this beautiful historic circuit and in northern Italy. We're here at Monza, set amongst this beautiful huge park, which is almost 7 square kilometers, just on the edge of Monza, and only around about 20 kilometers away from Milan, here in the north of Italy, in sunny, not quite as hot as yesterday conditions. Sofia Flores trying to keep cool. It's almost 29 degrees. That is at least a couple of degrees cooler than it was yesterday. And the humidity has gone down a little bit from what it was this morning, because it was very muggy indeed during qualifying. Humidity well over 50%. There's Nico Müller, who will be hoping to end the season as champion, as well everybody else in the field, but Nico will want to put the ghosts of near misses gone by behind him after a couple of close calls in the championship. That's how they're going to line up then for this second race of the weekend. Kelvin Van Der Linde, on his 25th birthday, gets pole position in only his second day as a DTM driver. Liam Lawson's going to start alongside, and Kelvin's younger brother Sheldon Van Der Linde is going to be starting right behind him in third place. We'll go through the grid again in full, but that's how they're going to line up. And once again, it was very close at the top of the field, with just 78 thousandths of a second between Kelvin Van Der Linde and Liam Lawson, yesterday's race winner, who's going to be starting alongside him at second on the grid, and then a couple of tenths of a second back to Sheldon Van Der Linde, who will be starting in third place. So the Van Der Linde brothers from South Africa racing against one another, family members, brothers, good friends as well, even flatmates, but it's going to be every man to himself when it comes to the race. Kelvin Van Der Linde and Sheldon Van Der Linde then at the start of qualifying, and we can hear from both of them now down on the grid.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Kelvin. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Did you get a cake from your brother?
No, I didn't, but he let me get pole, so that's nice. Nice for me.
Who is the quicker of you?
Well, this morning it was me, as you can see. But to be honest with you, I think he's a mega guy. We're both on the same level. You'll see that in the race. We're going to give each other a good race. We're going to put up a good show for the fans. So we're ready to fight.
You are behind him, so who is the last of the late breakers? Are you?
Well, I think I need to be, yes, if I want to take the lead into turn one. I think from a brother point of view, we're obviously brothers off the racetrack, but on the racetrack we race as hard as possible, and obviously we both want to win. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't think there's ever been a double podium of brothers on the DTM before, so that's going to be really cool. And hopefully we can make it happen.
Kelvin, congratulations, pole position. This is your rookie weekend, so excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything above my expectations. You know, coming to a new series like DTM, you don't expect any of that. It's a day we've been working for the last 3 years, me and my brother, to be here in the DTM, both for 2 different manufacturers. So thanks to our management team who really put in all that effort. And we're going to make sure today counts, and let's see what we can do.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the race.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Terrific to hear from both Kelvin and Sheldon, pair of terrific blokes as well as great drivers, and there'll be a lot of people back in South Africa willing them on to get that double podium if they possibly can. There's Esme Hawkey, the British driver, making her debut this weekend. She's one of the drivers in the T3 Motorsport squad, with the terrific opportunity for Esme to be racing a Lamborghini Huracan. As mentioned a couple of times, it was a pretty late deal for her to come into the series. She said on Friday that actually that was one of the decisive factors. The late start to the season for DTM meant that when she hadn't quite got her plans together, she could come into this without missing any of the races. So it's sort of fallen nicely into her hands. She has got a little bit of familiarity with the circuit as well, having raced here previously in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB when it had an away day here at Monza. So this circuit certainly bunched them all up together yesterday in the racing. There was some very close racing yesterday. Nico Müller was involved in it. So was Max Buch, who led the race until his late pit stop towards the end of the race. But Nico Müller has had a better qualifying today. He's going to be lining up on the second row of the grid. And I think we can hear from last year's championship runner-up now.
Nico, last year's runner-up in the championship, 4th place in qualifying. What do you expect from the race?
Well, it's definitely a better position to go racing from compared to yesterday, but it wasn't quite the maximum. Here you need every little tenth, and slipstream is definitely a topic, and we didn't manage to do that properly today. So we could have been probably a bit further up, but still, from P4 you can definitely have a good race, and that's what we aim for: score good points and maybe bring home a trophy.
From your point of view, the change from Class 1 car to GT3.
Well, obviously it's different. We have had amazing cars in the past. These cars are amazing in a different way. I think what makes it so special is that the diversity they bring to this championship. You see different manufacturers, you see cars that not only look different, they sound different, they have different strengths and weaknesses. And I think that makes the racing very exciting. So I think it's a super exciting season, the first one with these new cars, and I think there's a lot more to come.
When we look in front of you, what will be possible today?
Well, overtaking has been hard for us so far this weekend. Straight line speed hasn't been our strength, but we never know. With a good strategy and good pace, we can definitely move forwards, and we're definitely watching that way and trying to move up as far as possible.
Nico, put the pedal to the metal.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. I'll be relatively satisfied with that qualifying session this morning. Nico, 4 places higher up on the grid than he was for yesterday's race. Couple of tenths of a second away from the pole position, but very close to Sheldon Van Der Linde's time. There's Phillip Ellis, who had a lot of bad luck yesterday because he had a terrific start to the race, got himself up several positions into the top 4 until, unfortunately, had a problem with the throttle connection on the car, and it ground to a halt on the way into turn 1 at the end of the second lap of the race, as Gerhard Berger, the ITR chairman, to the right of your picture, Thomas Biermeier, who's the CEO now of AB Sportsline, was one of the drivers having a chat to him. And there is Danny Hunkerdea back in this season. He finished 5th on track yesterday, but he did receive a 10-second penalty for the contact that he had with Nico Müller, so that put him back to 6th place behind Kelvin Van Der Linde. I'm having a chat with Andy Smith, who runs the Gruppa M team this morning, and he said as soon as the team knew that Danny was available this season, there was no doubt in his mind that he was the driver to come in. He said if you drive as well as Danny did in his Formula 3 days, you know you've got a good driver, and it's great to see him have a car which looks like it's going to be delivering some success to him during the course of this season. Max Scott's there, we saw, who got his first podium in the DTM yesterday. So he's one of the returning drivers, but we've got a dozen new drivers on the grid, all getting their first taste of the DTM. One of them comes all the way from India. Arjun Maini has had a really strong single-seater career, now concentrating on the DTM. And we can hear from Arjun Maini now.
Arjun, we are live on air in India as well, so I think you have a lot of supporters at home.
Yeah, so thanks very much to whoever's tuning in. It's a good opportunity today. The strategies were quite interesting yesterday. So we are a bit more limited on tires today, so let's see what everyone has in the pocket.
You have a lot of experience in single-seater racing. Did it help for GT racing as well?
Of course, it takes some time to adjust, but I've been strong in this car all pre-season testing, so I just needed to adjust a bit here. Hopefully I get a bit more out of my pocket for this race.
Some points, maybe?
Hopefully.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. So good to hear from Arjun, who is just 23 years of age, the driver from Bangalore. But you go back to 2013, where he made his car racing debut, when he was racing the JK Racing Indy Series, a single-seater series, which he came close to winning. He was a runner-up in that championship, then came to Europe and raced in the BRDC Formula 4 Championship and just missed out on the title, just behind George Russell, now Formula 1 driver, of course. He's raced at Macau, he's raced in Formula 2, GP3, FIA Formula 3 as well, but more recently switching from single-seaters to the European and then the Asian Le Mans Series. So certainly shown some good pace. He was running at the top 3 yesterday, Arjun, up into 2nd place at one point, but he was one of the last to make his pit stop. So in the end, he dropped out of the points, but he certainly acquitted himself very well, I think, so far this weekend. And Nico Müller, we've heard from on the grid. Team Rosberg now getting used to the new team, the team which he's been fighting against for the last couple of years in DTM, but he's been getting used to this type of car with trip out of the Nürburgring 24-hour just a couple of weeks ago, in rather different weather conditions than we have here. And there for Rover Racing, Sheldon Van Der Linde, who will be hoping for a podium finish. He picked up his first point of the championship by qualifying in the top 3 earlier on. And his older brother, Kelvin Van Der Linde, picked up another 3 championship points for getting pole, with Liam Lawson 2 points and 1 for Sheldon Van Der Linde. We'll find out how it's all about to pan out very shortly. So we're here in Italy, where motorsport is a passion. It's a huge part of this part of the world as well. Monza, which is the 3rd largest city in the Lombardy region. It's a beautiful, beautiful place with some great architecture, and we have this huge walled park, the 3rd largest in Europe, which in the middle of it sits this racetrack, this legendary racetrack, the Monza circuit. One of the quickest tracks in the world, where bravery and commitment are required. Of course, you used to have the banking as well, which is out and around. You can still go and walk around it and see it, which was raced on in the 1950s before it was deemed too dangerous for Formula One. In the early 1960s, you've had greats of the past like Sterling Moss and Phil Hill taking race victories here. Phil Hill was actually the first American to win a Formula One Grand Prix when he raced at this circuit. The original track stretched out to over 10 kilometres. And it used to include a 5.5 kilometre long road section, which was broadly similar to the layout that we have here, but of course a much shorter circuit. Unfortunately, we've got no fans at the moment due to the pandemic. Hopefully that's going to change in the not too distant future, but when this place is full, it rocks with the Tifosi, and over 100,000 fans, 50,000 of which can be catered for in the huge grandstands that you have here on the start-finish line, in which the commentary box is perched and overlooking the grid. And right in front of me, but way down below, Liam Lawson, who you can see there getting ready and prepared to try and get his 2nd win. We've had history making already. Liam Lawson yesterday, the youngest ever DTM winner, the first New Zealander to win a DTM championship race. And it was the first time since 1996 that a non-German manufacturer won a DTM race. You have to go back to when it was the International Touring Car Championship before it became the DTM that it is today, to find a non-German manufacturer winning a race. And that was also an Italian brand when Nicola Larini went in Brazil for Alfa Romeo. Ferrari's day it was yesterday. And lots of tweaks to the balance of performance, which is always going to be the case in this type of racing with these types of car now, but also at the very beginning of the season where everybody's getting used to things. So it is a different look to the grid that we had yesterday, and we've got these 5 manufacturers going wheel to wheel, which is terrific for the health of the championship. Audi and Ferrari and Mercedes, BMW, Lamborghini, all up there. There's the BMW brand. A much better day for BMW, not least because Sheldon Van Der Linde has managed to get the car up onto the 2nd row of the grid. There was a point actually this morning in qualifying where it looked like we were going to get a Van Der Linde 1-2 because Kelvin was quickest and Sheldon joined him on the front row of the grid, but then Liam Lawson just managed to split the pair of them and get himself up into 2nd place. And there, of course, here in Italy, the Lamborghini ball on the front of the car and the Mercedes-Benz badge. Good to have that back involved in DTM as well. The Mercedes a little bit lower down the grid than they were yesterday, where they filled the top 4 places. Vincent Abril, though, has still qualified pretty well. He just saw his car, yesterday's pole sitter, and the driver that finished 2nd in the race yesterday, the Monegasque driver who grew up in the south of France. Actually was speaking with the team this morning, and on his fastest lap, he had a problem with his race boot. The sole of the race boot started to become loose, so it wasn't ideal for him. Yet he still managed to put in that very good time in qualifying. Hopefully a new pair of boots on now, and they'll hold together. But yes, he's the best placed of the Mercedes, and another good job as well from Lucas Auer, who's managed to look very quick this weekend. He was undone yesterday, really, by the pit stop where he had a problem with the wheel nut on the right rear, which got stuck, and he lost huge amounts of time and any chance, really, of a podium, because he looked like he might, well, at least finish in the top 4 or 5, but a podium could have beckoned for Lukey yesterday until that problem. Marco Vittman, who dragged the BMW up into the top 10 yesterday. And BMW struggled a bit yesterday. All of the BMWs did, but Marco Vittman is utterly determined and always seems to get the maximum from the car. So he's got work to do again now, though, because he's just outside the top 10. His brand mate, Timo Glock, couple of positions behind him. And Alex Alban, the Formula 1 reserve and development driver for Red Bull Racing, about to start his second race. Yesterday he went from 14th to 4th. Today he's not got as much work to do, but still plenty to get on with because he's 12th on the grid. So Alex getting used to this type of car as well, having only really ever raced single-seaters in the past. But here he is in a touring car championship, trying to follow in the footsteps of Dad Nigel Alban, who was a great touring car and Porsche racer back in his career. So the car's heading off onto the formation lap. Rolling starts. It's going to be a 50-minute race. Slightly shorter races here at Monza than we'll get for the rest of the season. Well, there'll be 55-minute races. And the mandatory pit stops to consider as well. The pit stop window opens after the leader has crossed the line on the 5th lap. So it's 5 laps in where the pit stops windows open. There's no closing time. You just have to make sure you get your pit stop done before the checkered flag. And yesterday we saw some very different strategies. A few drivers coming in very early, including Nico Muller and Mike Rockenfeller, and a few drivers leaving it very late, including Sofia Flores, Arjun Maini, as I've mentioned, and Max Buch, who was the last of the pit stoppers and actually led quite a portion of the race. But of course, once he made his pit stop, he then dropped back down the order, but still managed to get into the points. He's substituting for this weekend and the second round of the championship for Gary Pavett, the former double champion, who's about to come back into DTM. Well, his other commitments are out of the way. But the tradition of having at least one British driver on the grid for a good number of years now has been upheld by Esme Hawkey, who's going to be starting a little bit further back in her T3 Motorsport Lamborghini. So as they're on the formation lap for this second race, let's just go through the grid one more time for you in full. Pole position for this one, we're going to have Kelvin Van Der Linde getting his first pole position in what is only a second qualifying session in DTM, but he's a Nürburgring 24-hour winner, a double ADAC GT Masters champion. He knows what he's doing. Alongside him will be Liam Lawson, second on the grid. Row 2, we're going to have Sheldon Van Der Linde and Nico Muller. Row 3, Esteban Muth and Vincent Abreu was on the podium yesterday. Row 4, Lucas Auer and Max Gotts. Row 5, Danny Hunkadea and Phillip Ellis. That's your top 10. On row 6, Marco Vittman and Alex Alban. On row number 7, Timo Glock and Arjun Maini. Row 8, Max Buch and Esme Hawkey. And then row 9, Mike Rockenfeller, who was a bit downbeat after qualifying this morning. Problems with the setup of the car. Dev Gore, who retired early when he had some contact with Timo Glock in yesterday's race. The car was okay, but it just got stuck in the gravel trap on the exit to the second turn. And Sofia Flores is going to be starting alone on the 20th row of the grid. On her debut weekend, she is in 19th place. So that is the way they are going to shape up for the second round of the championship. Liam Lawson is the early points leader after picking up 25 points for the race win yesterday, and another 2 points for qualifying second this morning. So he's got 27 points. Vincent Abreu has got 21, and Max Gotts is third on 15 points. But we're about to go racing because the safety car is peeling in. We're about to get the rolling start underway as the cars make their way through the final turn at Parabolica. There you can see part of the glorious banked circuit that makes up the history here at Monza to the right of the picture. But it's now about 2021. It's about DTM. Chris Hartley here, trackside, to talk you through the action for round 2 of the 2021 DTM Championship with Kelvin Van Der Linde on pole on his 25th birthday. Liam Lawson, yesterday's winner, alongside the 19-year-old. The red lights are on. They creep up towards the line. And as soon as that goes green, we are going to be charging down towards the Reggio for the first time. And we are underway. And it's a decent start for Liam Lawson, who's going to push the pole sitter hard here, I reckon. Van Der Linde in the number 3 Audi's got the inside line, but the Ferrari's got its nose in front. Sheldon Van Der Linde working hard to keep his place as well. He's under attack from Nico Muller. It's going to be Kelvin Van Der Linde. Liam Lawson backs everybody up as he has to get off the throttle. Nico Muller has snatched third place, I reckon, away from Sheldon Van Der Linde. You've got Esteban Muth trying to get in there as well. He's trying to attack and defend because he's got the likes of Vincent Abreu queuing up behind him, and Luki Auer's made a good start as well. Auer's got ahead of Abreu, in fact, as they make their way out of Curva Grande for the first time in the race. So Kelvin Van Der Linde converts pole position into the race lead. Liam Lawson in second place, but that's way higher up the order than he was at this point yesterday, where he had to come from 7th on the grid. Everybody happily has made it safely through that first couple of corners. It's pretty tight and tricky through there as Vincent Abril goes side by side with Lucas Auer again inside the top 6 to try and get that place back. So they're still side by side. Terrific stuff from them as the front runners come through. Abril back ahead of Auer, and everybody else jostling for position as they make their way up the hill now out of Curva Seraglio and up towards the Ascari chicane, where they're now plotting their course, keeping an eye on Dev Gorey, who was looking at the inside in his number 12 Team Rosberg Audi, the second of the silver, black and red machines. Not sure he made the position up though. And I'm also keeping an eye on Esteban Moot, who looks very lively indeed as he heads now towards the end of the first lap of the race, right on the tail of Sheldon Van Der Linde. Bit of a gap back then to Vincent Abril, who leads the second group of cars. But the leader at the end of lap number 1 is going to be the pole sitter, Kelvin Van Der Linde, and he's pulled clear of this battle for second place, which is going on between Liam Lawson and the driver that's come up from 4th on the grid, Nico Müller, looking for his first podium of the season in his second race of 2021, and he's right on the tail of the Red Bull Racing AF Corsa Ferrari and slings it around the outside. What a move from Nico Müller. That is huge commitment and a terrific move. He goes wide on the exit though, because he went so quickly into the corner, and the Ferrari's going to come back at him, but I think through Curva Grande he'll have the line. Or Lawson doesn't think so actually, because he knows if he stays on the outside that will give him the inside line for the next turn. So that battle is not yet done. You've got Max Scotts and Daniel Gadea and Marco Vittman, it looks like, all scrapping away. But what about second place? Liam Lawson trying to come back down the inside now. Oh, it's a tight squeeze. Bonner's on the curbs. Lawson's around the outside, and here comes Sheldon Van Der Linde. It's going to be 3 abreast. You've got Esteban Moot just behind as well, and Sheldon Van Der Linde goes through. He steals both positions for now, because Liam Lawson just will not give up. Around the outside, he's still trying to hang on in the Ferrari, and eventually he has to relent. But Sheldon Van Der Linde with a great piece of opportunism there. He just let the pair of them fight it out, hold each other up, and drove past the pair of them. So from 4th up to 2nd he goes. That terrific encounter. Great dice in between, well, these 4 cars now. And isn't it great to see so many different manufacturers in the heat of the moment here, all battling away, drivers from different backgrounds, different categories with different levels of experience, but all incredibly quick drivers. And of course, while all that goes on, it's only helping the race leader, Kelvin Van Der Linde, to get an even bigger advantage. Here then is a replay of this terrific squabble. 3 abreast they were, but then we've got a change. We go back live quickly because Nico Müller's got himself ahead of Liam Lawson on the way to Parabolica. Sheldon Van Der Linde's getting away in second place. It's a Van Der Linde 1-2 then at the end of the lap. Kelvin from Sheldon. They go past the commentary box window. The gap must have opened right up. Yes, it has. 3.5 seconds. Thank you very much, says Kelvin. You all fight amongst yourselves. I'll just get my head down and drive away. So he charges on. Sheldon Van Der Linde in second. Müller back up to 3rd. Esteban Moot looking down the inside. There's contact with the Ferrari. Lamborghini hits Ferrari. That sounds expensive. But Lawson still just has his nose in front. Esteban Moot, though, the Belgian driver's having none of this. He wants to get through on the way to the next chicane. Liam Lawson in the thick of the action here. This is terrific racing in the DTM, and he's got his nose in front now. The man from Brussels trying to creep down the inside. 2 19-year-olds going together. Combined age of these pairs, 38. She's younger than some of the drivers on the grid. Oh no, Liam Lawson's lost the back end. There wasn't room for both of them. And in the end, one of them had to give way. One of them had to run out of road, and I'm afraid it was yesterday's race winner, Liam Lawson, who's come off worst there. So he's going to plummet right to the back of the field. He's got going again. Hopefully nobody collected him. It looked like he'd avoided any further impact. But that's going to throw that strategy up in the air. They might well try something different now with the pit stops, I imagine. He's kind of got nothing to lose in a sense. It'll be fun watching him try and come back up the order. We get a replay. They were side by side from the start of the lap, really. Lawson trying to creep back around the outside. There was that little bit of contact there as Moot came in to take his line and found a Ferrari there. I think Vincent Abril just collected the Ferrari, the back end of it, as he tried to find a way past. Yes, he did, just the right-hand side of the Mercedes. Abril was a bit unlucky there, actually. The French driver got forced through the gravel trap. It was his only way through. As we see a move here from Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 champion, in the grey and red colours of Abt Sportsline, going alongside Arjun Maini in his Mercedes. They're wheel to wheel, those two, outside the top 10 at the moment, but not far outside the top 10 of the points. And then you've got Esme Hawkey just behind as well. She had a good dice for a couple of laps yesterday with Alex Alban. Second and third, their gaps come down as well. Sheldon Vanderlinder has been caught up by Nico Muller now. Fourth and on his own is Moot. And then Auer leading a huge queue of cars. Arjun losing out in that squabble. And Vincent Abril, because he got delayed and had to go through the gravel trap, I'm afraid yesterday's pole sitter in the bright yellow and blue Mercedes has dropped all the way back to 15th place for Team HRT. Double podium for HRT yesterday, the Hat Racing team, but at the moment the best driver is Max Gotts, who's placed in 9th position. Right, this is the battle for second place, and it's BMW versus Audi, and it's two of the front runners from last year's championship going head-to-head. Sheldon Van Der Linde and Nico Muller. They won more races than everybody except for René Rast, who got one more win and a few more points to take the title last year. But the Swiss driver is looking very strong today in the Audi, and we saw that from the determined move, or a couple of determined moves that he's already pulled off in this race, particularly at the start. On the way to the first chicane around the outside, that was a terrific move. Sheldon Van Der Linde, though, for now, he's able to keep him at bay. And all the time, the race leader gets further and further up the road. Kelvin Van Der Linde, 3.9 seconds clear. He'd be very, very happy indeed if his little bro could keep the Audi behind him for as long as possible, act as his wingman almost. Not that they're working together, they're not teammates. And driving for different manufacturers, different types of car, and different teams as well. But, you know, brotherly love and all of that, it will be pretty good. Sheldon Van Der Linde, of course, from his point of view, just wants to hold on to second place here. And for now, he's doing a good job. Nico Muller not close enough to attack on the way to the next turn. They're going to have to watch the Lamborghini in the mirrors, though, because Esteban Moot has just set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:49.2. He was half a second quicker than this pair. So you can see him coming in the background, can't you? Getting ever closer. And meanwhile, Muller looking like he's going to try and line up a move here and go on the attack. Brake lights come on, but again, he's just that little bit too far back to lunge down the inside. Esteban Moot, who had that contact with Liam Lawson, pushing on, trying to get closer to them. Hasn't got a huge amount of racing experience. Well, he wouldn't really. He's only 19. Selected races in GT4 in the European Series last year, 5th in the 2019 Toyota Racing Series, selected races in Japanese F3 and Blancpain, and one weekend in Formula Renault Euro Cup, and that's about it, apart from a season in French Formula 4, which is where he started his car racing career in 2018, and in which he was a winner on 2 occasions at Spa and Jerez. So he's coming after them, and again, through the first sector, personal best. Through the second sector, it is an absolute best. So it could be another new fastest lap of the race here for the Lamborghini driver. Pushing along in that normally aspirated engine and pulling well clear now of the Mercedes of Lucas Auer. He's got Phillip Ellis for company in the battle for 5th place. Marco Vittman up there again in 7th place. Daniel Hunkadea in 8th. Max Gotts in 9th. And Alex Alban is into the top 10 now. Mike Rockenfeller 11th. Esme Hawkey 12th. Really holding her own, doing a good job. And Arjun 13th, dropping back a couple of places after that battle that we saw. Liam Lawson still running. And he set his personal best lap time last time around, but he's in plumb last place in 19th. Now, Lucas Auer and Marco Vittman both came into the pits together, and Daniel Hunkadea, and loads of other drivers as well. So it's suddenly very busy in the pit lane now that the window has opened, and lots of them opting to make the mandatory tyre change early. We did have some early stops yesterday. We had some very late stops and not that much in between, but this is definitely a change of tack. A lot more drivers coming in on this lap than we had yesterday.
Speed limit, white line, PC cold tire, PC cold tire.
Auer looks like he's going to be the first of the pit stoppers. Max Boot coming out now. You got Timo Glock in there as well. Arjun Maini came in, Max Gotts, Danny Hunkadea. There's Hunkadea. Hunkadea might just be at the front of that group. Sheldon Van Der Linde still keeping Nico Muller at bay in the battle for second place. The BMW ahead of the Audi, and both of them are being gobbled up by this Lamborghini Huracan coming thick and fast. The T3 Motorsport driver, Esteban Moot, the driver from Uccle in Brussels, who has really shown terrific pace so far this weekend in free practice. When he finally got going, he was very quick and hasn't really looked back since. Obviously a determined driver as well, because he was not going to give in to Liam Lawson, that's for sure. They'll each have their own point of view. Lawson will pick a few places up now with all those pit stoppers, but we'll see what his tactic is going to be today. Early pit stopper yesterday, Liam Lawson. Maybe he's going to go the other way today and be a late pit stopper. He certainly was very good at managing the tyres, so don't count him out of the points just yet. So the Vanderlinders are first and second, Muller is third, Moot is fourth, and because of the pit stops, Phillip Ellis is now fifth, Alex Alban is up to sixth, Mike Rockenfeller seventh, Esme Hawkey into the points in eighth, and we'll see where the rest of them filter in after those pit stops. Right, Muller flashing his lights. He's in a difficult position now, though, because Nico needs to attack, but he also needs to try and defend because he has got company in the shape of the fourth place car of Esteban Moot. Car number 11 under investigation for a pit stop infringement is Marco Vittman. As into the pits comes more drivers, Rockenfeller, Abril, Gore and Lawson. So Lawson has come in fairly early. So that's Rockenfeller out ahead of Abril, and then it's going to be close just behind. Devgore just in front of Liam Lawson's Ferrari. So they've completed their mandatory stops. They're creeping their way, sticking to the pit lane speed limit, coming out now to rejoin. We'll see where they rejoin relative to the others that made the stop on the previous lap. So that's everybody, bar the top 8 that have been in now. But they're going to have old tyres at the end of this one. Although a couple of drivers said the tyre degradation wasn't as bad as they thought. There's confirmation on the screen of this investigation for the pit stop of Marco Vittman. No penalties yet, but they're looking at something that they're not necessarily 100% clear on. So we'll see what happens with that one. But for now, Marco free to carry on. Sheldon Van Der Linde. The longer this goes on, the better positioned he is to be able to defend, because he's figured out by now where Nico Muller is quicker and where he's not as quick. So he knows where the attacks are likely to come, and he can prepare a bit more for that, put the car in the right place, defend if he has to. He's racing line, but Nico's going to bail out of the battle. He's had enough of this, so I can't get past here. Let's try and get past in the pit stop, he says. So in he comes. Nico Muller, he's going to be joined by Phillip Ellis in the pits as well, and one other in the background coming in, which is, yes, Esme Hawkey. So Hawkey comes in after a lively start to the race for her. Right, all new Michelin slick tyres got on. Race between the pit crews, only 6 crew allowed. Hawkey comes in. Muller stayed ahead of Ellis, and they both should be ahead of Hawkey, so no changes in position between them. But where will they come out relative to the others? And they've got to get their tyres up to temperature as well. That's another consideration. So Muller rejoins. So that's Lucas Auer that's just gone over the start-finish line. Yes, it is. He did his pit stop a couple of laps ago. He's got ahead of Ellis, who is having a battle with before. They were 5th and 6th before the pit stops started. So Lucas Auer has come out ahead of Ellis. No change there. And now he's going to try and gun it after Nico Muller, who's still trying to get those tyres up to full working temperature, which you would have thought would not take that long, given the track temperatures are very high here at Monza this weekend. Abril ahead of Miney, ahead of Hawkey, who's come out ahead of Daniel Hunkadea. So there's Auer, and here's a replay of Liam Lawson getting a bit feisty again. That was Devgore, wasn't it? He's got past, who just managed to get out of his pit box in front. So Liam Lawson trading more paintwork, but regaining one of the places. There's no doubt about it. He's on a mission now, and he's got to take every opportunity he gets to try and get something decent out of this race in terms of points. Remember, he's the early championship leader. You've got to be in the top 10 in the race to score any points. No bonuses for fastest laps or anything like that, so it's just about getting in the top 10. Phillip Ellis, the dual nationality driver. He's German and British heritage, but he grew up mainly in Switzerland, races with the Swiss licence. Sheldon Van Der Linde in, like his brother. He lives in Kempten, in Germany, near the factory. Looks like a pretty good pit stop, as Marco Vittman has a look here on the way into Parabolica to try and get ahead of the Mercedes of Phillip Ellis. Just forces Phillip to go a little bit wide on the exit, so there might be an opportunity on the way into the Retifilia. Sheldon Van Der Linde and Alex Alban have come into the pits now, so that's Sheldon Van Der Linde rejoining, I think, behind Nico Muller and possibly behind Lucas Auer. Yes! But remember, he'll have slightly newer tyres than them by a few laps later on. They got Phillip Ellis trying to defend here, just about succeeding in doing so from Marco Vittman on the way into the Retifilia chicane for the first time as they come charging through. And then just, well, quite a bit behind now, leading the next group of cars is Max Gotts. So Kelvin Van Der Linde continues to lead. Right, so Marco Vittman's pit stop is under investigation. Was this to do with the release? This is him pulling out the BMW. I don't think it was the release. Having a look at that. It's been reported by the stewards who are investigating something they're not too happy about with perhaps the dropping of the car. Vittman pushing on for now, and I think he can do about that. Nico Müller, as say, the virtual leader, which means he's the leading pit stopper. But his tyre's a little bit older than some of the cars behind him, including Lucas Auer. So, of the pit stoppers, it's Müller from Auer, and in now comes the overall leader, Kelvin Van Der Linde. So he ought to come out if the pit stop goes well. A few seconds in front of that squabble. We've also got Esteban Moot coming in as well.
Go, go, go.
So that just leaves Sofia Flores, I think, that hasn't been in the pits. So Sofia's going to pick up the lead of the race here. She ran in third place for much of the second half of the race yesterday until a very late pit stop dropped her back down the order. So there's Kelvin. There's the Müller-Auer battle just coming out of the Parabolica. Esteban Mouti's going to tuck in, I think, behind them. Maybe behind Sheldon Van Der Linde as well, who was behind before all the pit stops started. So Kelvin Van Der Linde makes his way out of turn 2. There is Müller, there is Auer, there is Sheldon Van Der Linde, then it's Ellis, and then it's Vittman, and then Moot has just come out on the colder tyres in the yellow, blue and grey Lamborghini, number 10. So Esteban Moot, given how pretty lively he's been, let's say, under attack, I don't think he's going to take any prisoners here in trying to come through the order. Once those tyres are working 100%, Marco Vittman might need to make that BMW very, very wide indeed to try and defend from the 19-year-old. Gotts bringing the next group closer as well. Alban, number 23, 9, Rockefeller. Abril trying to come back up the order after having to take to the gravel through no fault of his own, really, trying to avoid that incident with Lawson and Moot. He dropped down to 15th place at one point, but I think he's going to get at least some points out of this. So one driver alone has not been in the pits, and it's Sofia Flores here, 99, leading a race in only her second day as a DTM racer. How long will she stay out for? The answer is not long, so everybody's pitted much earlier than yesterday. So there were at least those 3 drivers that left it to the end, but Sofia Flores, she's not going to fully lead a lap of DTM. She crossed the line on the other side of the pit wall. So Kelvin Van Der Linde is about to resume as the race leader, followed by that battle between Müller and Auer and Van Der Linde, then Ellis, Vittman and Moot, who should be the order. And we'll see where Sofia Flores comes out in all of this in her Audi, the Abt Sportsline Audi. Abt Sportsline, of course, who ran Nico Müller to second place in the championship last year. And there they all come streaming through now. So Kelvin Van Der Linde will resume the lead of the race. He is 4.2 seconds up on Nico Müller in second place. So he's got a big old advantage there. Nico's only 9/10 of a second ahead of Lucas Auer, who will now move back up to third place and on for a podium. And then it's Sheldon Van Der Linde fourth, Phillip Ellis fifth, Marco Vittman sixth, Esteban Moot up there as well, 7th. Gotts, Alban and Rockefeller, I reckon, also in the points. And Vatsal Abril not far outside the points now. I think he's 11th when it settles down. What about Liam Lawson? He's, well, with Sofia Flores' pit stop, I think he'll be up to 16th place. I think he should come out ahead of Sofia. And he's also set the fastest first sector of the race so far. He's just done that with a 34.5. That's 4/10 quicker than the race leader. So it's a long, long way back down the order, Liam Lawson, but they're all sort of queued up in front of him. Nobody's really got away from anybody else yet, and there's still some positions to be had here. He's still getting himself up into the points. Mato Ferrari, the team boss, will be willing his young charge on and hoping that Alex Alban can have another good result like he had yesterday. So there you can see the gap from first to second. It's the rookie versus the two-time championship runner-up versus a 5-time winner, Lucas Auer. Replay of the race start then. And Liam Lawson really did push Kelvin Van Der Linde hard into turn 1, into the braking zone. He actually got his nose in front and tried the outside line. It was brave stuff, committed stuff from Lawson, the New Zealander. But in the end, look, that's where he had to get off the throttle over the curbs he went. And he sort of queued everybody up then behind him, which really did help out Kelvin Van Der Linde, who then was able to escape. Vincent Abril had to get right off the throttle as well. That was why Muller was able to get... Sheldon Van Der Linde had to get off the throttle, which is why he lost a place. There's Timo Glock getting in a squeeze, number 16 in the BMW. At least 2 wheels off the ground there, and a sandwich between Arjen Meunier and Max Buch. So it's incredibly tight, but I'll tell you what, they've done well through that first chicane in both race starts. And so often in any kind of racing at that chicane, it's a bottleneck, and it often triggers incidents at the start of a race. But although there were a bit of bodywork traded, a bit of paintwork swapped, they survived. Right, and then this is another fairly forceful move. It's Alex Alban this time. And he was the last of the late breakers on Esme Hawkey yesterday with a similar move to that at the same corner. And that was him diving down the inside of Max Scotts, who was on the podium yesterday. So that will put him up to 8th place now. Marco Vittman's just set the best first sector of the race so far. So he's going well. 6th place for Marco, a 2014-2016 champion. There he is, number 11. A driver from Bavaria in southern Germany. Very good Formula 3 racer as well before he moved into touring cars. Right on the case of Phillip Ellis in the number 57 machine, the former Audi TT Cup champion. Who's only switched to GT racing for the last few seasons, really, before coming into DTM. So the rookie has got the double champion behind him. But for how long? Because Marco Vittman pick up a toe here. No DRS or push to pass anymore in DTM, so it's all about the slipstream and how good you are on the brakes, and try to go around the outside. Now is Marco Vittman. He's committed. The BMW draws alongside the Mercedes, and Marco Vittman should squeeze through with the help of the curbs. He's going to run wide on the exit, but he gets the move covered off, and that was perfectly done. You have to throw everything at it, and any move you put yourself at risk. And it's never easy. It's always a tight squeeze. It always requires you into these chicanes to just go to the very limit. You're almost stopping the car. You're having to brake so late. You're standing on the brakes. And then it's just a case of scrambling through the corner on the exit. Make sure you don't run wide. But that was beautifully done by Vittman to gain that place. Confirmation that Alex Alban is up to 8th place. But also that Mike Rockenfeller was able to get past Max Scotts on that lap as well. So Max down to 10th place now. Kelvin Van Der Linde's lead is 4.2 seconds, because on the last lap he was able to extend his advantage by a couple of tenths. Yo-yoed a little bit between the 4 and 5 second mark, but on that lap the gap grew slightly to Nico Muller. Nico Muller is 1.1 seconds clear of Lucas Auer. There's Liam Lawson flashing through the shot. He's up to 16th. His next task is to try and find a way past Maximilian Buch, and then Daniel Hunkadea, and then Esme Hawkey. There are a few queued up in front of him. There's Phillip Ellis, then number 57, getting much further in the race than he managed yesterday after the throttle issue. And looking to score his first points of the DTM campaign. But Esteban Moot is coming fast in the Lamborghini, and we know what he's capable of. So Phillip Ellis is going to have a busy 25 minutes between now and the end of the race if he wants to hold on to his position, one suspects. There's number 3, Kelvin Van Der Linde, the race leader for the Team Abt Sportsline, the team which celebrates this year its 125th anniversary, not as a team, but as a company. And a company which actually started out as a blacksmith's, and a real development over the last 125 years. We're now a top racing team, and look at this, top racing. Max Buch down the inside of Esme Hawkey. I think there was a tiny bit of contact between them, and Liam Lawson is now onto the tail of the Lamborghini, and he has got the bit between his teeth. Liam Lawson's got only one thing on his mind now after that incident earlier on, and that's coming back up the order. Comes out of Curva Grande, and is he going to try and make a move on the way into the second chicane at Variante della Roggia? No, because Esme Hawkey's good enough on the brakes to be able to keep the Ferrari behind. Well, the Lamborghini stays where it is for now, but down to 15th place. 24 and a half minutes to go in the race. We managed 28 laps in yesterday's race. We're on lap 15 now, and a replay of the move from Max Book. Yeah, there was just a tiny bit of contact there. We did really well to react to that because that car was about to get sideways, but she caught it nicely. So last year's Pro-Am champion in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB, doing a very good job as well. Yeah, brother Ethan's a very handy racer as well, who came up through Ginetta Juniors a couple of seasons ago. Now racing Porsches as well, as Arjun Maini takes to the grass and loses positions. Esme Hawkey's going to get past him, and no doubt Liam Lawson is going to get past as well. So Maini started the lap in 12th place, but Hunkerdaya and Book and Hawkey and Lawson have all gone past him. So what caused him to go on the grass we didn't see, but Arjun Maini, I'm afraid, as a result of that, the Indian driver loses 4, maybe more places. Sofia Flores on his case now as well. He's got the slightly fresher tyres compared to everybody else as the last of the pit stoppers. And behind her is Dev Gore. So Sofia Flores trying to go on the attack, but let's keep an eye on Liam Lawson in the Red Bull liveried AF Corsa Ferrari. Goes one way, he goes the other. Esme Hawkey sits in the middle of the road, but here comes Liam Lawson down the inside on the way into turn 1, and he covers it off. Doesn't take too much curb on the way through the corner and holds the position. Flores and Gore have both got past Maini as well. So Maini tumbling down the order. He's lost another 2 places, down to 18th. So it was a really nasty lap for Arjun. Just going onto the grass for whatever reason that caused that, had a pretty serious knock-on. So he'll try and regroup his thoughts now and try and get back on it. Max Scotts is the driver that's hanging on to the last of the championship points at the moment, but with Vincent Labril only 0.8 of a second behind him. 2 Audis in 1st and 2nd, a Mercedes in 3rd, 2 BMWs 4th and 5th, Mercedes 6th, Lamborghini 7th, Ferrari 8th, Audi 9th, and Mercedes 10th. So it's a really good mix of different types of car, different brands here in the points in this second race of the season. Just over 22 minutes remaining then in this 50-minute race, well into the second half of proceedings. And there's Sofia Flores. Looking pretty strong, actually, in the Abt car. Looked very pensive when I saw her talking with her engineers after the qualifying session. But she's under investigation too for a pit stop. And it's about the way the car has been dropped back down. I know they've been tweaking the rules on the pit stops as well after apparently a 2.5-hour meeting last night between the team managers, I was told, as they discussed the regulations and rules of exactly what you can and can't do in terms of holding onto the wheels and the tyres. It's new for everybody, lots of things to get used to. But again, something that's under investigation, something that's been reported that stewards will look at. And Arjun now is coming to the pit, so is that trip through the gravel perhaps caused some damage to the car or maybe one of the tyres? Possibly so. Just again get the back end of it, whether he went off on his own. I think he did. I think he was on his own. That's so easy to do though. You're trying to pick the braking points from a very long way away, these chicanes. Did the right thing though, just kept lightly on the throttle, guided it through the gravel trap and was able to rejoin. And yes, it was all on his own. Then he went off, but it again might have been an issue with the car that caused that. So he, I'm afraid, in the pits. The only car not on track as we get Sofia Flores and Dev Gore now nose to tail. These two have been having a good scrap for a few laps now. Number 12, Audi, is Dev Gore, teammate to Nico Muller. And the American driver only got a few laps into the race yesterday after contacts at the first chicane put him out. But again, he's looked pretty good at times in the practice sessions in terms of the speed that he's had. It's another young driver with not that much previous experience. He's only 23, comes from Oklahoma. Only started racing when he was 18 in karts, so it's not like he was karting from the age of 7 or 8 years of age. He was a pretty late starter. 13th a couple of years ago in the Toyota Racing Series down in New Zealand, single-seaters. And 3 races in the Blancpain GT Endurance Championship as well. Some Euro Formula Open racing. Prior to that, I'm afraid Arjun Maini's out of the car. It's a real shame for Arjun. Really high spot of the weekend where he qualified in, he was 4th in the second free practice session on Friday. really showing what he's capable of. But it's not to be today for Arjun, but he's going to be plenty more to come from him, that's for sure, because he looks very much at home in these types of cars. So he's the first retirement of this second race. Kelvin Van Der Linde's started to extend his advantage a bit more now. It's nearly 4.9 seconds. A couple of drivers to watch are out of the podium positions at the moment. Sheldon Van Der Linde has just done a personal best through the first sector, but even quicker than him with the absolute best first sector so far of the race, 34.3 seconds, is Marco Vittman. So the two BMWs going on a bit of a charge here towards the podium. The driver they're trying to catch, if they want to get onto the podium, is Lucas Auer in the Mercedes. The number 22 car, one of the Team Winward cars, and he's 1.9 seconds clear of Sheldon Van Der Linde at the moment. So Kelvin Van Der Linde leads by almost 5 seconds. Nico Müller is second. Lucas Auer is third. Sheldon Van Der Linde is fourth. And that man, Marco Vittman, in fifth place. Phillip Ellis sixth. Esteban Moot, his run up the order seems to have fizzled out a little bit now. He's in seventh. Alex Alban is in eighth place. Mike Rockenfeller make a better day than yesterday in ninth, and Max Goetz in 10th place. And he's just fractionally extended his advantage over Vincent Abril for the last point in the championship, because the gap was 0.8 of a second. It's now 0.9 of a second. That's 2 or 3 laps later. Liam Lawson's up to 14th place now. 1:49.3 for him last time around. It was a 10th quicker than the driver he's trying to catch, Max Book. Ab Sportsline team watch on, middle of the picture there, with his arm on the intercom, speaking to his driver. There's Thomas, well, one of his drivers is Thomas Spearmeyer. This man leads the race, Kelvin Van Der Linde. Ab Sportsline team has had some great successes over the years, not here at Monza, because this is the first time DTM has raced at Monza, but when they've been to Italy before, they've always picked up a trophy from DTM. Got lots of podiums. They've got 3 wins as well with Matthias Ekstrom in 04, Timo Scheider in 2010, Nico Müller just a couple of years ago at Misano in 2019. So Italy, somewhere that's always been kind to them, even though they've never raced at this circuit in any championship, be that DTM or any of the other championships that they compete in. But it's looking good now, and it could be a second rookie taking a victory this weekend. We've already had one, Liam Lawson taking the win. Right, and there's Liam's teammates in the AF Corsa squad. Number 23, Alex Alban. He, interestingly, he's onto the tail of Esteban Moot, who's the driver that had the collision with his teammate, which caused Liam Lawson to drop down the order when the pair of them were fighting over the same piece of road. So he's now homing in on the Lamborghini and looks to have a car which is maybe handling a little bit better at the moment, keeping it nice and tight. Well, I'm afraid we have lost Arjun Maini as we saw a few minutes ago from the race, so we can find out what happened to him now down in the pits.
Well, Aaron, very sorry what happened. Exactly what happened to the car?
So we had a contact with the BMW at the start, and I think that caused some eventual damage with the brakes, so we had no choice but to stop. It was a shame because we were running, I think, quite well, a bit better than yesterday, and the pace looked quite good. And so, yeah, it's a shame, but I think good learning, and yeah, we go on.
That was the reason why you missed the braking at the Variante della Scari?
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, it's a problem with the brakes and due to the contact, so yeah.
In general, first weekend DTM, exciting?
Of course, it's exciting. It's really close, and you want to be always at the front, so that's our goal for sure. But for now, I think we take the learning and we move from here.
Good luck for next race. We keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Good to hear from Arjun Maini, but sad that it's in such circumstances. And their confirmation of the fastest lap of the race, which at the moment belongs to Lucas Auer. 1:48.3. Needs to keep pushing on. Of course, the pace has dropped off for everybody now with the tyre wear. That was back on lap 7 that he got that 1:48.3. He's a second a lap slower at the moment. And I heard yesterday from the drivers that the tyre degradation, when the tyres are at the end of their life, towards the end of a stint or the end of the race, the drop-off is around about 1.5 seconds around here at Monza. So at the moment they look like they're going about 1 second slower, and those times might fall off a little bit more now in these last 14 or 15 minutes of the race. While we're hearing from Arjun Maini, we saw another late braking manoeuvre on screen from Alex Albon. So he's now got ahead of the Lamborghini and has put himself up into 7th place. Esteban Moot dropping down to 8th position. They're just going over the start-finish line now. The gap has crept down a little bit between Kelvin Van Der Linde and Nico Muller. Nico trying to upset the birthday party and upset his old team because he helped Ab Sportsline to the team title last year. Him and Robin Frynes both having excellent seasons. Neither won the Drivers' Championship, but they took Ab Sportsline to the team championship last year. They have won 5 drivers' titles over their time as well. As Timo Glock comes in, and this doesn't look good, I'm afraid. It's been a very low ebb this weekend for Timo Glock. Nothing seems to have gone his way, and it looks like race 2 is going to end in retirement. So no points from this one either for the former Grand Prix racer and multiple podium finisher in Formula 1. So he becomes the 2nd retirement, and that's the end of his race as the Rover Racing squad, hugely experienced team, pushed the BMW into the garage. So Kelvin Van Der Linde's last lap was a 1:49.049. Nico Muller's last lap was a 1:49.070. So on that lap, he crept the gap back out a bit. 1:49.3 more or less for Lucas Ayer in 3rd. He's falling away. 1:49.4 for Sheldon Vanderlinder in 4th. He was caught a little bit by 2/10 on that lap by Marco Vittman, who's now 1 second behind him with a 1:49.2. Liam Lawson's progress, I think, might have come to a bit of a halt as well, although he's a little bit quicker than the Max Boot car ahead of him, but only a couple of tenths. So he's sat back in 14th place now, and it's looking more and more unlikely that he's going to get that Ferrari up into the points. Highs and lows of motorsport, eh? Everything goes your way one day, you have a brilliant drive, and you have the perfect debut, you score a race victory, and then you qualify better on day 2, and you think, hello, might have a really good weekend here, might have another good one, and it all goes wrong. But they're all used to it, even Liam at his young age. I asked him yesterday why he thought why there are so many good motor racing drivers that come from such a small population, really, in New Zealand. I mean, they're massively sporty. They're brilliant at cricket, they're brilliant at rugby, they seem to be brilliant at motorsport as well, not just now, but over years gone by. And he said, yeah, it's just a huge thing when you're growing up in New Zealand as a kid. Sport is everywhere. And, you know, the few that are lucky enough to go and do it internationally, you know that they're generally really good because there's such a high level nationally, whether that's motorsport or rugby. So the ones that do make it out internationally, you know that they're going to be able to compete. 2 New Zealanders racing in the Formula 2 Championship, including Liam Lawson this year. And put it this way, I wouldn't exactly fall off my chair if you were to tell me that Liam Lawson would be a Formula 1 driver in a few years' time. I think he absolutely seems to have the talent. But today he hasn't got his way. But there might be some points coming the way for the team, thanks to Alex Alban, who's in 7th place. There's only 9/10 of a second down on Phillip Ellis, which is his next target. But there is a closer battle here between Mike Rockenfeller in the BMW, the grey and red BMW, trying to catch onto the tail now of Esteban Moot, who just doesn't seem to have had quite as much pace on this second set of tyres. And Rocky, the 2013 champion, has a look, closes in. Nothing doing yet for the Team Ab Sportsline driver. Qualifying was not good, but the race is coming together a bit more for him. I'm guessing they had a lot of work and a lot of time thinking about the setup of the car from qualifying to the race. Whatever change they made seems to be working for Rocky. It's much more competitive. Right, this is the battle for 4th place then between Sheldon Van Der Linde and Marco Vittman, who seem to have been tied together for much of the race here, both before and after pit stops. Here's Mike Rockenfeller. He could barely be any closer to the tail of that Lamborghini, pushing him almost through the corner in the battle for 8th place. So Rockenfeller determined to get the Audi ahead of the Lamborghini. But in this battle, Sheldon Van Der Linde has just edged a little bit further clear. Under acceleration, under braking, the gap comes back down. 2 BMWs don't necessarily need to work together anymore as a manufacturer brand. And they're racing for different teams, but they also want to hold each other up. If they can keep working together, they might be able to catch Lucas Ayer and try and get at least one of them onto the podium. Mike Rockenfeller still trying to find a way past Esteban Moot for 8th place. And he's certainly applying the pressure here. It's all he can do, really. It's hard to overtake. I think they're finding it harder to overtake than they expected here at Monza. And when you do see the overtakes, they've been had to be really last of the late braking manoeuvres, had to be fully committed and almost risking going off the road to overtake. There's a battle a little bit further back, and this is for the final point. So Max Gotts, the first of the pink Mercedes, is in 10th. You've got Van Der Linde and Daniel Hungadea not far behind him, though, in 11th and 12th. So there's a point at stake in the championship as Mike Rockenfeller again gets close to the back end of the Lamborghini but can't find a way through. Here's the battle for 10th place. No, Max Gotts, for now, is holding on to that single point. I'm afraid, though, another German driver that's not had a very good weekend at all is Timo Glock. We can find out now what the problem was.
Timo, a very unfortunate weekend. What was the problem right now?
Yeah, unfortunately we had contact at the start of the race in turn 1, I think, which broke a rim on the front left-hand tire, and I lost just pressure on the front left. And we tried to continue until we can do our pit stop, and that worked out. But you know, I mean, we lost so much ground in the beginning already, and then after changing the tires, the car just didn't feel right under braking. It was moving quite a lot. The steering wheel was not straight anymore, so at the end it was not much sense to continue anymore. And yeah, we had to stop because the car just didn't feel right anymore.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Okay, so we saw Timo on the replay from the first chicane getting squeezed and 2 wheels up in the air. That obviously had a knock-on effect, as he was saying there, and caused damage, and the car was just never right after that. Meanwhile, Esteban Muth continues to fend off Mike Rockenfeller. Might remember a 2013 DTM champion, but also 11 years ago now was a Le Mans 24-hour winner with Audi, with Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas. Incredibly experienced racer. Former Porsche champion as well, Porsche Super Cup and Porsche Carrera Cup Germany champion back in 2004. So whatever type of car he drives, been hugely successful in. Made his debut in the DTM in 2007, so over 190 race starts now for Mike Rockenfeller, and he tries to swing around the outside here at Parabolica. He draws alongside the Lamborghini, has to go onto the white lines, trying to hold the position now. Now he's got to commit to the outside going into the chicane. This is going to be a long showdown, isn't it? They're going to have to stare each other out almost for the entire start-finish straight. They whiz past the commentary box window. Lamborghini on the inside for the next corner. Audi on the outside. Mike Rockenfeller nose in front. Brake lights come on a little bit earlier on the Audi. The Lamborghini will hold the line, so he'll try and cut back now on the exit to the corner, trying to make Esteban Muth go deep into the corner and try and spring an attack on the way out of the turn, which is exactly what's going to happen now all the way to Curva Grande, but the Lamborghini closes the door just in time. Rockenfeller is throwing everything at this, but Esteban Muth, for now, is equal to the pressure. Another strong battle going on here between Ellis in 6th and Alban in 7th, who's caught him up now. They've just flashed through the shot. So we've got Vanderlinder and Vittman battling for 4th. We've got Ellis and Alban battling for 6th, and Muth and Rockenfeller battling for 8th place. The top 3 might be spread out, but there are some huge squabbles going on further back inside the top 10, and this is probably the best of them for now. Mike Rockenfeller is knocking at the door. He's almost kicking the door down here, but Muth will not let him in. He'll huff and he puff, but he can't blow the house down at the moment. As the 19-year-old again defends, coming up over the crest of the hill. He knows he's got the inside line. You can come alongside me, but I've got the line, he says. Come out of the final chicane, exit the turn there at Variante Ascari, head onto the back straight, and this is where Mike Rockenfeller drew alongside at the end of this straight, going into the Parabolica last time. He tried to swing around the outside. Inside line is definitely covered, so his only option is to try the outside again. He's a bit further back this time, though, and he won't quite draw alongside. But you can see he's got a little bit more traction. And the back end of the Lamborghini gets out of shape, and this might be the opportunity now for Mike Rockenfeller to get the place, because Esteban Muth is all over the shop coming out of Parabolica, and coming over the start-finish line. He's somehow still got his nose in front. I was sure that Mike Rockenfeller was going to have a go there. He might still have a go under braking, but again, the door just gets squeezed on him. It closes up. Phillip Ellis still hanging on to his place from Alex Alban. Here comes Rockenfeller again, trying to get alongside, not quite doing so. Behind you got Gotts in 10th place, but the closer battle is probably now between Vincent Abrel in 11th and Daniel Hungadea in 12th. Here's team radio. We're not quite getting that, but Muth has probably got something to say about the battle, I imagine. And look in the background, Daniel Hungadea knows if he can get past Vincent Abrel, he might just get a point out of this if he can get ahead of Max Gotts. But for now, that's not happening. Well, here comes Rockenfeller again, trying, but failing. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Time beginning to run out here. Rockenfeller looks the stronger of the two, but somehow that Lamborghini has been able to stay ahead. Here's the battle for 11th between the bright yellow and blue Mercedes of Vincent Labril, who's trying to defend his position, but also try to help his teammate Max Gotts out, because Max is ahead of him in 10th, and they're both trying to fend off Daniel Hunkedea, whose car might look the same as Max Gotts's, but it's run by different teams, run by the Group M Racing team. Right, nose to tail again here between Lamborghini and Audi. Great battle this has been for the last 3 or 4 laps. Mike Rockenfeller, he's got to try and think of something else now. It's one of the great things about motorsport is the strategic side as well. The drivers trying to outsmart each other at speed, trying to quick think. And this is Rockenfeller again swinging around the outside. Now this is as good a chance as he's had. He's right off the road here as they come through Parabolica. Black and white flag for Esteban Moot for disrespecting track limits is the message that's just come on the screen. Mike Rockenfeller might be getting a warning like that as well in the not too distant future if he keeps running so wide, but it's all he can do to try and find a way past the Lamborghini, which is the widest Lamborghini in the world at the moment. Mooty's digging in deep, and late on the brakes, a bit too late on the brakes. There is Rockenfeller, almost skids past the apex, and yeah, loses time coming out of the corner. So he had a moment there, a big lock-up. He's going to have to gather it all back together again, because Esteban Moot has pulled 3 or 4 or 5 car lengths clear. He's number 8, Daniel Hunkedea, in 12th place, trying to find a way past Vincent Labril, failing to do so at the moment. And Sheldon Van Der Linde has been with the BMW of Marco Vittman in his mirrors for almost the entire race now, but he's still behind. Phillip Ellis is still fending off Alex Alban for 6th place. And here's a replay of this moment. Under-braking for Mike Rockenfeller. Just that little bit too deep, just missed the apex of the corner as he tried to commit to a move around the outside. And sure enough, Mike Rockenfeller now gets a black and white flag, a warning for, guess what, disrespecting track limits. So both had their warnings. They're both going to have to be a little bit careful. If they keep breaking the rules, then penalties might be coming their way. So to weigh up now whether it's worth it for another point. But in the heat of battle, we'll see if that judgment comes in or not. Alex Alban was certainly pushing hard, wasn't he, as he made his way out of Valiante Ascari. Heading into Parabolica now. 57 is Ellis in 6th place, doing a fine job to keep Alex Alban behind him in 7th. And this the battle for 8th that we all know about. He's been caught up by the next 3 cars as well here. But time is to within the final 2 minutes now. Wide, wide, wide again as he understeers through Parabolica. Here's the Lamborghini of Esteban Moot, but he keeps the T3 Motorsport car ahead for now. Rockenfeller in the Abt Sportsline machine. Well, I don't think he's going to try the outside line again into the first corner because it cost him a lot of time, but he has clawed all that time back. He's right back onto the case of the Lamborghini now, so that shows absolutely he's the quicker of the two at the moment. And he'd be slightly worried about that bright pink thing getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors, because Max Gotts is coming and he's bringing Vincent Labril and Daniel Hunkedea with him. Meanwhile, Marco Vittman now looks to be getting a little bit bored of being sat behind Sheldon Van Der Linde in the battle for 4th place. So he's starting to dance around in the mirrors. Looks like they are too far back to do anything about Lucas Auer, though, who's 3rd and 2.7 seconds clear of them. Nico Muller's still 2nd. He's been working away at the gap to the race leader. It's down to 3.7 seconds now as Mike Rockenfeller again tries the outside line. Look at this. There is a bit of wheel rubbing here. Onto the curbs he goes, and finally Rockenfeller gets through. He'll breathe a sigh of relief. That has taken a lot of dedication and commitment, but finally he gets his reward, and Mike Rockenfeller is through into 8th place. All that for a couple more points, but it was worth it. But it's too far back on anybody else now to attack. Meanwhile, his teammate Kelvin Van Der Linde has just got to keep this on the island now. We're down to, 14 seconds left on the clock, so he's going to go through with just about enough time to then get another lap in. Kelvin Van Der Linde, 3.8 seconds to the good of Nico Muller. Muller's trying to keep the pressure up, but he's surely too far back. So with the time now down to 0, just about got through with about 10 or 11 seconds left on the clock. So we're on to the last lap of the race as Marco Vittman and the number 11 BMW feigns a move to the right, feigns a move to the left, tries to unsettle Sheldon Van Der Linde, catch his eye in the mirror and put him off his own braking point and hope that he misses the racing line, but Sheldon's wise to it. There's his brother Kelvin. What a birthday treat this is going to be. I think there might be a party tonight because he's 25. He hasn't really had a chance to celebrate yet, but he's going to... the place is going to be rocking after this one. Another rookie getting a victory. It will be, if he can hold on to this for another, 60 seconds or so. It doesn't look like it's going to be a problem for Kelvin. He's got the track to himself. He doesn't need to push hard. Just bring the car home now. And what a place to win as well. Monza, a true racer's circuit. They'll all like that one on the CV. A race victory in the DTM at Monza. Liam Lawson had the privilege yesterday. Today, it looks very much like it's going to be Kelvin Van Der Linde. 3.8 seconds clear at the start of the lap. Nico Muller will be pretty pleased to get his first podium of the season after a difficult day yesterday. Lucas Auer, who felt like he probably had the pace for a podium yesterday, he's going to get the third step on the podium as long as they all get through this final corner at Parabolica. Here he is then. It's a great day for the Van Der Linders, and in particular for Kelvin, because here he comes. There's the checkered flag.
Come on, boys! We freaking did it! Yes! Come on! Come on!
I think he's a bit pleased with that.
Congratulations. Amazing pace. P1, Kelvin. Save fuel and collect pickup.
Yeah, don't forget to do your job, Kelvin. Oh, they are absolutely chuffed to bits, as they should be. Defending team champions, as I mentioned, at AB Sportsline.
Very good job. Very good job.
Thumbs up from Hans-Jürgen Abt on the pit wall.
Guys. Thank you very much. That was very important today. It was very important. Thank you. Keep doing like...
And Muller's happy as well. Very important to get up there this early in the season. You can't afford to give away many points at the start of the year. So Hans-Jürgen Abt, Thomas Biermeier and the team, all absolutely delighted with that victory. There's Thomas. Big smile on his face as always. Lots to smile about last year as well. Terrific effort by the team. Terrific effort by Kelvin Van Der Linde. Already a race winner in the DTM. That's 1-1 now between him and Sheldon. He got his win last year. So Kelvin Van Der Linde victorious after 28 laps of racing. Nico Muller comes home in second. Lucas Auer in third. Both of those drivers get their first podiums of the year. Sheldon Van Der Linde, with a much stronger performing car than yesterday, he's able to come home in fourth. And great drive from him to defend all that while from Marco Vittman. He's got far more experience than Sheldon. And he's a great driver, as we know. Those two work well together for fourth and fifth. Phillip Ellis, good to see him get a result as well after the disappointment of yesterday. He finishes sixth. Alex Alban seventh. Mike Rockenfeller rewarded his persistence with eighth place, finally getting past Esteban Moot. And Max Scott's got the final point in 10th position. Super slow-mo in the moment in which Kelvin Van Der Linde became a race winner in the DTM. Crossing the line, and it was really a lights to flag victory, albeit with the pit stops influencing things in terms of the order a little bit in the middle of the race. But there you go, the full 25 points coming the way of Kelvin Van Der Linde. In fact, it's a maximum today because he got 3 points for pole as well. So 28 points he's added to his tally today. Nico Muller will be, as we heard, satisfied with that. 18 points coming his way for second place. Lucas Auer in third. The rest of the top 10ers I gave to you. Abril 11th, Hungadea 12th, Book in 13th. Lawson could only recover to 14th in the end. And then 15th place to Gore, 16th to Sofia Flores, 17th to Esme Hawkey, and non-finishes for Timo Glock and Arjun Maini. So there, some super slow-mos of our top three in this second race of the season. Lucas Auer, number 22, coming home in third place for Team Windward. Get their first DTM podium as a team as well. Nico Muller, second place for the Swiss driver for Team Rosberg. That's Team Rosberg's first podium of the season. And for AB Sportsline, his first podium, first win of 2021. And it's Kelvin Van Der Linde with his first win in the DTM as well. Some drivers have to wait years before they get a first victory in DTM. Had all sorts of Formula One stars that have come in and failed to do it or had to wait a long time for the win. But Kelvin Van Der Linde knows how to drive a car. It does not matter what the car is, he's going to be good. And there, the victory sign on the slowing down lap. Well, you heard the reaction on the radio. Just wait till you see the beaming smile. He's going to be grinning from ear to ear when he gets out of that car. And it's been a superb job from him today to take that victory. So he, and I'm not surprised by this, marks his card as championship contender already. And as I said yesterday, anybody that's followed his career over the last 5 or 6 years will not be surprised that he's come into this and already hit the ground running. So Kelvin Van Der Linde, terrific effort, leads the cars in. It's been another hot one. Temperature rose during that race as well, so it's 29.9 degrees the air temperature now. So first thing they're going to do is swig some water down, I would have thought. But the adrenaline will see him through for now. Here we go. Kelvin calm for now, about to get onto the top of the car. And here he is, your race winner for round 2 of the DTM 2021. He's applauded, and he's got enough energy to run all the way from the car into the arms of the team. As Luki Auer, well-deserved podium. He's been quick all weekend long. Here comes Kelvin. I think he might be popular in that team. Well, they know each other well, and he knows the team know him, and they know they've got a really good and now winning combination. There's Lucas Auer, very happy with his work as well. Unlucky yesterday, nothing to do with Lucas that he dropped down the order. So podium, probably the least he deserves this weekend. And for Nico Muller as well, relief I think more than anything, because it was a bit of an uphill battle yesterday. He's Team Rosberg man now, but he's still liked very much by Outsports Lines, with Thomas Biermeyer putting an arm around his shoulder, having a chat with his former driver there. And very strong drive that from Nico. You can see how determined he was at the start of the race as well to get himself up into the podium positions. So excellent stuff. It's a very different type of DTM, but Nico Muller is going to be up there again. Championship contender once more, and he grows and grows with every year of experience. So well done to Nico. Fine second place finish. It's a 1-2 for Audi cars. Mercedes in third, BMW's fourth and fifth. Ferrari and Lamborghini up in the points as well. So something to be had for all of the brands. And we'll get the photo opportunities in front of the podium when someone has a chance to debrief and talk about each other's race. We'll be able to hear from the drivers before the podium as well. So Lucas Auer receives his congratulations. Incredibly fit, these drivers. You think what they're wearing and what they're having to do physically inside the cockpits, which are way hotter than it is out here.
Ready for the podium of the second race in DTM.
Just heard Sheldon Van Der Linde there saying, I tried everything to keep you behind.
Is for Lucas Auer.
So Lucas Auer gets his first podium of the 2021 season. There might be a few more to come as well. It's looking good for Lucas, who's been a championship contender before. Podium number 13 for Lucas Auer in his DTM career. That was his 94th start in the championship.
Okay, the second place is for Nico Muller.
Now for Nico Muller to make his way up onto the podium. Second place today. Next looking for a race victory. He had plenty of those last year, 6 in all on his way into second place in the championship. So Nico, new team, new race helmet design, new car, back on the podium. And the winning team, of course, is Team Abt Sportsline. Hans-Jürgen Abt will receive the trophy. The team boss,
and so the
man behind the team, but the race
Linde
winner gets the loudest cheer of all. Kelvin Van Der Linde makes his way up onto the podium. Great respect between him and Nico Muller, as you can see. And there it is. Not the biggest trophy in the world, but it will mean so much to Kelvin. A race victory for the South African driver.
Okay, now it's
Well,
time for
wasn't
lift up
quite
your trophy.
two Vanderlinder brothers on the podium. First and fourth, though, he's a pretty good day.
Another win for Up Sportsline, and the win is
Not
for
going to be
Kelvin
surprised
Van
at
Der
all if we
Linde.
get both of them on the podium at some point this season, if not more than once. So the drivers and the winning team, the team boss, Hans-Jürgen Ab, to the right of the picture, pose for the photos.
Okay,
and
for the party.
as usual, Lucas Auer is the quickest to get the champagne open. He's a demon at that. And so those nice new team shirts, which look like you could go out clubbing in those, they're very smart. But they're very wet now as well, because Lucas Auer has had his way with the champagne. Oh, that's going to sting in the eyes. But none of them will be too bothered about that. They'll just be celebrating a successful day in DTM. They can see the respect and admiration still that Ab Sportsline have for the now Team Rosberg driver, Nico Müller. Back on the podium for a tough end to the 2020 campaign, but a very, very good campaign in which he pushed René Rast all the way to the title last year once again. So the drivers, with the podium celebrations now complete, will be speaking to us very shortly. We get to hear all of their thoughts, and all three of them really having strong weekends here, picking up points in the case of Kelvin Van Der Linde and Nico Müller in both races. There's the champagne. Got to do what the boss says, haven't you? And there is Kelvin Van Der Linde, who hands over the champagne. And it looks like we're going to now hear very shortly from the first of our podium finishers. Tricky day yesterday, but he's got his reward today. Lucas Auer, third place.
Lucas, after a very difficult day yesterday, today the podium, so you must be very satisfied.
Yes, and today was a lot more difficult. We saved one set over the weekend, so this was the set which we put on the pit stop, and basically this was the prime time where I could pull the Adna cut, and at the end P3, really happy.
DTM 2021, it's a thriller. We all see winning new guys, young drivers. It will be a heck of a season.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think those two races show everything. We had yesterday Mercedes dominant, today Audi, BMW, but also Ferrari very strong. So interesting.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's two races, 6 different drivers on the podium now, isn't it? 3 completely different podium finishes than we had yesterday. So it's looking wide open in terms of this year's championship, if Monza is anything to go by. Very, very different circuit, of course, to many other tracks around the world, but also on the calendar. And we'll see after Lausitzring where we lie. But somebody that's going to be up there again, no doubt, is this man. He's always up there. It's Nico Müller.
Nico Müller from Switzerland, smiling. What a day.
Yeah, obviously not quite perfect, but much better than yesterday. We had a sharp weapon today, so that was very helpful. Yeah, it was Kelvin's birthday, but I did make him a bit too many presents today. I think I deserve some of his birthday cake. Gave him a good slipstream in the qualifying, and I think, yeah, I ended up without, so that was not great. I think we could have started further up. And, you know, if you start in the first row, it's always easier to win races. And just lost too much time battling in the first half of the race, or the first stint, in order to be able to fight for the win. I think our pace was quite similar. So, you know, happy for him, happy for my ex-team. It's my crew that, you know, will always be a little part of my racing family. And I'm very happy at my new one, and we've shown today that we're also in the mix straight away, even though we're still a young team. So I'm looking forward to see what the future holds and keep attacking.
Was there any point late in the race where you thought you could catch him?
Well, you know, I knew that he had fresher tires, having pitted later than me. So I knew that straight after the pit stop it was going to be tough. But I hoped, you know, for some tire drag to kick in on his side, which didn't really happen. I think he just managed the pace at the end, and I tried to then do the same because I saw that I'm not considerably quicker. So we just managed the race, and I think it was the right thing to do. It's early on in the season, and it's going to be a long battle.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you.
So the thoughts of Nico Müller there. The track temperature was a good few degrees cooler than it was yesterday, and yeah, the tyre degradation was not as bad.
So, Kelvin,
so the winning driver, the winning team, Kelvin Van Der Linde, your race winner, Hans-Jürgen Ab, the team boss. We can hear from them now.
Yes, driver and team boss right here with us. Another winner from the Southern Hemisphere in Monza. What a day for you.
Yeah, I'm really proud, honestly. It's been a lot of hard work to get to the DTM. And again, with my German family, with the Abt family, I started my career with Abt, and now back with them in the DTM and to win on the first weekend. I mean, that's the perfect weekend.
You had a pole position. It's your birthday. Now you win. Whom will you share your cake with? Nico said he deserves a piece of cake.
Yeah, Nico will get a piece of cake for the slipstream this morning, and my brother will get a piece of cake for helping me on the start there. But no, at the end of the day, I think we forget the cake. We have some beers tonight, so it's all good.
And who will pay for the party? Your boss, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, I always pay for everything. No, I'm really happy for the day, and the team did a great job. Kelvin, I think, stayed really cool after the pole position. We had a not so good race on Saturday, but in the end we did it, and the team did a perfect pit stop. Everything worked well.
Abt has so many years of experience in DTM. So what is your opinion on this new DTM 2021?
First of all, I'm really happy because we are since 20 years now in DTM as a factory team or private. Now we're back as private. And to win the first race weekend, I think it's great, and we're really happy that we are start like this, and we really start or try to continue strong as much. And I think it's a fair chance for everybody. I think the cars today was very close, especially in qualifying. In the end, it's also on tires and also on the drivers to get a gap on the field. But in the end, I think it's a good future for the DTM.
I hope you brought a lot of good Weiss beer from Kempten here to Monza.
Of course, beer. It's always very important for us. We live up, or we wake up, or we grow up with beer, and everything is fine.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't live in Bavaria and not like beer, do you really? I can't be many people from that part of the world that don't. It's known for it, and I imagine there's a few crates in the back of the lorry. As Kelvin said, forget the cake, we're going to have some beer tonight. And the boss is going to pay for it, pay for everything, he says. So great to see. This is the 10th, not the 10th season, but the 10th year, the 10th anniversary of Hans running the team on his own as well. This family-run team from Bavaria, which I say is a company dates all the way back to the late 1896. It goes all the way back to, and has developed through different forms of industry and cars, and then into motorsport, and passed and run through the family as a racing team founded in the early 1990s by Johan Abt, who was a motorcycle racer himself. Right, Kelvin Van Der Linde, I thought this might be the case. He's got enough there to move himself into the championship lead, as you saw, 36 points. So not only does he get his first win, his first pole, he also gets the championship lead at the end of the first weekend of the season. So Kelvin Van Der Linde with pretty much the perfect day. Monza has been a joy. It has been a real treat for us to be here. Next, we head in a month's time to the Lausitz for the second round of the DTM 2021. From me, Chris Hartley and the team, hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves and bye for now.